Okay.
Check 1, 2. All right, everybody, don't adjust your television screens. The lighting is not different in here. Things have just flipped. It's what we call Freaky Friday.
Hey, oh, I like that.
I am your special guest host. I have been promoted since my last appearance here. I had such a fantastic time with you that when we ended, I said, you know, every question she was asking me, which are so real, I wanted to flip them on you. And so we talked about it and said, let's do reverse. Yes. So here we are. We are going to flip out today. I'm going to be the host, and I'm turning the questions for the come up on the one and only, the legendary and the legendary.
Okay.
I put together some questions, Joel. I think that in being one of her guests on the show, the most fascinating part was that I wanted to know her thoughts and her feelings, and I learned so much about you just from the questions you asked me.
Interesting.
So, today it's your turn.
You're an observant person. Yes.
Yeah, well, you're like the queen of interview. You bring out, I tell everyone, it's the only time I ever get scared because you force people to be honest.
Do you think I'm the next Oprah?
I think it's witchcraft. Well, whatever works. Bring in the bills, baby.
Is Oprah on the good list right now?
I don't know.
I think she was at the party.
She was at the freak off?
I think she was at the freak off.
That's when it said the freak off. When Oprah said that. Until then it was just a freak. So we have questions today. You're going to get to find out everything you want to know about Vanessa Fuller's come up.
Oh, God.
And I'm super excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be insightful. You're going to learn some things, hopefully, that you didn't know before. We're going to see how uncomfortable we can make Vanessa in her realness.
Stay the fuck up out my business.
Let's just get my motherfucking name out your mouth. Let's start from the beginning, because I think that a lot of people, their come up does not turn out to be the vision of the come up they had in the beginning.
Right.
So let's go back to baby Vanessa, pigtails on the playground at school.
Afro poofs.
Knee-high socks, playing hopscotch.
Yes.
Boys all around clapping because her skirt was a little too short.
Oh my God.
What was your original vision of the come up? What did that look like for you in the beginning?
Oh my God. I think that when I was younger, I used to want to be a pop star. Like straight up. Like I wanted to sing and dance and just be on stage. So I did choir, I did dance, I played instruments, I did all the things. And of course I was in dance classes, but I just wanted to be like Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson, or, you know, I knew that I was going to be a performer of some kind. That was the big vision.
Yeah, like an entertainer.
Yeah, I actually can't believe I'm not a pop star right now. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, different time and different place. But let's talk about that topic now. This is something that I get a lot of heat for. I get a lot of heat. The difference between a singer, a performer, an artist, and an entertainer. Because I think Taylor Swift is an artist. I think Beyonce is an artist. Mm-hmm. And then there are entertainers of our generation that we grew up loving and adoring. Maybe they weren't the most talented singers, or maybe they didn't write their own music. What do you think? What's artist versus entertainer?
Okay, well, there's some people that can do both. Like Prince.
Sure.
Michael Jackson. I think Beyonce, Britney. I feel like an artist... that's such an interesting question. I think an entertainer is an all-around package. Like, there are plenty of people who make great music or do something really well, but they don't know how to captivate. And I feel like an entertainer is somebody who, like, really understands the energy of captivating a room.
The it factor.
The it factor, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Let's talk about some numbers here. So, people always talk about, there's so many of us that are fighting for a spot in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
I did some facts and figures. There are 30 people in an average Broadway show, 36 Broadway shows, which means only 1,080 people are on Broadway at any given time.
I believe it.
In the NFL, there are 53 people on each team, 32 teams, 1,696. There are more people in the NFL right now than there are on Broadway.
Yeah.
People always talk about how entertainment is dime a dozen. How do you reconcile that with your students and with people who want to do the come up, that you're inspiring, knowing that the numbers are really stacked against us if you want to make it to that echelon of success?
Okay, so I think those are accurate, and I heard somewhere that only 8% of dancers who want to make a career out of dance actually end up making a career out of dance. I think one of the biggest things I advocate for in my teaching is there is nothing in this world that beats hard work. You absolutely 100% have to be the hardest worker in every situation, no matter how talented you are. So I think an assumption is, I'm super, super talented, it's going to be easy for me. And it's actually going to be so much harder for you. The other thing is really getting students to tap into who they are uniquely and what their own superpower is and what makes them different, because that is going to be the thing that sets them apart. Yeah. Nobody else has exactly what you have. And sometimes we want to just fit in. Like, we go into these panics of like, oh, I don't look like this person, I don't look like this dancer, whatever, and I have to like make myself look like that, when really you just have to make yourself look more like yourself. Right. That's the gift. And so all those things aside, you could still be really good at all those things and not make it, whatever that is. And so I also think it's really important to teach diversity within the entertainment industry. You might go in for dance but end up doing costuming or lighting or sound or being behind the camera, direction and stuff like that. So it's also really important to be open and to be willing to try things within the field, because if you're going to be creative, you're going to be creative, and that can happen in many different ways. So just trying not to put yourself in a box.
Right.
And then just, you need to be a nice fucking person. Like, fuck off with all this shit. Like, straight up.
With strong boundaries.
Yeah. Lindsay, girl!
Lindsay!
Yeah, you need to have strong boundaries, and you need to be a nice person, because it is who you know. Mm-hmm. I really think it is. I think of course, I've had bookings, but like, I think the majority of things that I've felt really excited about and passionate about have come from people I knew, or people that I had ongoing communications with that were like, oh, I remember you. I remember your passion, your fire, and I want to give you that opportunity.
So true.
Yeah.
It is so true. I always think of you as such a self-motivated human being. You are like the driving force, and you deserve all the kudos and all the credit.
Thank you.
You know, I mentioned in going to New York, I'd wish I had a mentor like you as a dance teacher to guide me and give me here's the real talk about it. Who was that person for you?
Man.
Who prepped you? Who got you ready? We need to find them and build a statue in the middle of Eugene.
I didn't have a mentor like that. So my mom was a university professor, who then in her lifetime ended up being a department head. And my dad was a small business owner. He owned a barbecue shack that I worked at growing up at high school. And I think I just wanted it so bad. Like, my parents were working parents, but I think I was born with this ability to just get shit done. Mm-hmm. I was really fortunate that my first dance teacher was a teacher who really saw me. You know what I mean? Like, I had a hard time in this town feeling like I never fit in anywhere. Mm-hmm. And she was just a person that looked at me as just a talented kid and nothing else.
Yeah. Not
the color of my skin, not the way my hair was laying, like none of that stuff. She was just like, you're talented, and just pushed me.
Yeah.
And so it was more that for me. It was like that one person who saw me that made me like have that extra belief in myself to be like, no, this is what I'm meant to do. Yeah. And the first escape was her studio. The studio I grew up in.
Wow.
She retired, and yeah, that's how
What's
it got.
What's so crazy is that every studio, there's like Stephanie and Brittany, and like, the three girls that are like top of the team.
Yeah.
Popular, pretty. Every person that I've known in the industry, successful Rockettes, were not that girl. They were like the Jennifer 5 girls down the line that got passed up for a lot of those lead things.
I believe it.
And they kept the hustle going.
Yeah.
And somebody saw them, and it was the work ethic, like almost the drive of like, I'm going to do this just because you never included me. I'm going to make a space for myself.
I think that's definitely part of it. Some of it is a vendetta. Like, oh, you said I fucking couldn't. I'm about to do all of it and then some. I definitely live that way. I don't know if it's healthy, but it's definitely motivating. I feel like there came a point where I was like, instead of me listening to the chatter, the bullshit, the judgment from people, I'm just going to get so good at what I do that no one could ever question me.
Right.
So instead of looking outward, there was a point probably around when I turned like 30, between like opening and losing my mom and all that kind of stuff, where I was just like, I went inward, and I'm like, I'm going to work on myself so that this noise that comes in from the outside, like, I don't believe it because I know it's not true, but also like, you can't do that to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the whole premise of Wicked. Like, the one that they told was bad and terrible Look at her. She's like the one we all remember from the musical. Glinda
Right.
didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Glinda was married. Her husband was beating her. She had 3 kids and divorced.
Yeah.
Elphaba, the Wicked Witch, was the one who turned out to be Thetis.
Yeah.
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 So, speaking of your mom, I know she's always with you on the come up. What would it
Yes.
look like today if your mom was here in the studio? What would her place be at Escape? I want to tell me what that vision looks like.
Man, so when my mom was alive, she was with my kids every day at the studio. So I would be teaching and she would be watching the kids. Or I would take them over to her house and she would hang. She's the reason I opened the studio. I didn't want to. I had a studio that failed. I opened it when I was like 23 and then I got married and then I was pregnant and it was really difficult and I tried to do what everybody else was doing. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have these like white kid ballet classes and these really tame tap classes and I did hip hop, but it wasn't like what we have here.
Right.
It was very
very
Wonder Bread.
work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Halfway at work.
That business ended up failing. I had to leave it. And when I came back, I was kind of like scarred. I was like, I don't want to do it, but it was in there. Like the fire was in me. But my teacher from growing up, she was like, I'm going to retire. Do you want to buy my business? And I was like, absolutely the fuck not.
Right.
Like, I don't want, it was called Musical Feet. Jeanette Frame, rest in peace. She passed away 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And I had a whole coffee meeting with her. We just chatted, whatever. 2 weeks later, she's like, here's the information for my building. If you want to rent it, I will put in a word for you. And I told my mom, and I was working like a marketing job at the university. I was like behind a desk. Yeah, just all day. And my mom just stormed into the studio, or into the job. And she was like, what are you doing with your life? She was like, you need to go open that studio right now. And I was like, I don't want to, whatever. But she was like, this is not where you belong. Like, I didn't pay for dance lessons for you to just be sitting here and like wasting your time. And so then there was a lot of puzzle pieces that went into it, but I ended up doing it.
Yeah, that one moment.
But it was like, my mom was always my biggest supporter. And that's why, I feel like she's here all the time. But she would just be here, rallying, hooting and hollering, never say anything about me shaking no ass. Never like looked at me sideways, was always just like, you go girl.
Yeah.
But if she hadn't to come into the office that day and looked at me, because I was in like a marriage and everything where it was like, I was not opening a studio. Like that wasn't going to happen. But if she hadn't to come in, there would have been no escape.
Wow.
Absolutely not. I would not have done it. One moment where she looked at me like, what the fuck? Why are you behind this desk? Like straight up.
Yeah.
I would be behind a desk. I even worked at Kiefer Kia for a hot second. Like, what is happening?
Thank you for calling Kiefer Kia. This is Vanessa.
Yeah.
Can I tell you about our Toyota celebration telethon?
Yes.
No, I can't see you doing that.
Yeah.
Unless you were tap dancing in the lobby or something.
Yeah.
And we are not putting you out there like that. I love that. Let's talk about completely opposite. So I want you to tell me a story where a person has directly tried to like sabotage your come up. Like a situation where, I don't know, where someone in your life where you thought they were here for it, but it almost like impacted you, like it's almost stopped your progress. There are always like naysayers and people are like, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Can you think of examples of that? Because there are going to be people around you who are like, come on, you just need to settle down and go back and do your normal thing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want you to dream the dream. People from Eugene don't make it big. You don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do
you have situations like that, or people where you really thought they were trying to stop the come up?
Yeah, I actually just had one. I think that, I don't want to talk about it too in depth, but I will just say this. Like when I realized there's just some people that like, if they're okay with you getting to a certain level of success, a certain level of achievement, and then they start to get really uncomfortable when it goes beyond that, even if you don't necessarily change. And I always think, like, if my friend's successful, if somebody's around me is successful, then I'm in closer proximity to it, and it's also coming to me as well. Like, it's a good thing.
Right.
But some people get really freaked out by that. So I noticed that when I went on the show, that there were people who were just, like, all of a sudden flip-flopped. Like, completely flip-flopped. And I could tell by the language they would use with me. Like, oh, you shouldn't be working in your studio, or you should probably leave Escape, or you've been doing that for too long, or that type of stuff. And where I would just be like, huh, that's interesting. And I almost like had a moment where I was like, should I quit?
Step away.
Should I step away? Should I be doing something else? And then it really, like, all of it came to a head, and I was like, you are so uncomfortable that you're trying to keep me from what is meant, not only what is meant for me, but what I've built. So I would just say usually that happens with people that are close to you, that you think are there to support you, but it just turns out that they can't hang. I've had more support from people that I don't know who they are or that are like acquaintances at this time. But it actually like kind of blindsided me, just like people that have been around for a long time that have been really supportive just got really uncomfortable when I like finally tipped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you fucking think I'm out here doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I call that friend or fan. You have to always stop every single person and say friend or fan.
Yeah.
Because the fans will purposely try to get you to switch up, change directions, because they want you to stop doing the studio, the TV thing doesn't take off, and then you fall apart and they go, I knew she would never make it.
Yeah.
But your real friends, your friends want to see you grow and always.
Right.
So you're an entrepreneur. You can run a studio, you can be on television, you can do a marketing brand, you can have a podcast. You don't need to stop doing one.
Right.
You can handle it all. And you'll know when you've outgrown something, but anyone who's trying to get you to switch lanes is trying to keep you in a lane.
Yeah, it was.
Gotta be careful of those people.
Yeah, really careful.
And
it's
you
just,
can do anything and all things at the same time.
I think so too. We talk about this a lot. Capacity. Like people limit themselves a lot. Oh, I can only do this thing, even though I have all these other passions, and people are like scared to expand.
Right.
And I think people are capable of a lot more than they think they are.
Yeah, you
all
don't
the
see
time.
Pop stars stopping because they did a makeup brand. I mean,
No.
their makeup brands are the billions, but the artistry is where they were truly like, you need this studio to keep you grounded because you're going to keep going.
And that's the thing is like, this is when you're talking about like the original dream, like somewhere in my childhood, like I saw myself owning a studio, and I really do think, because I did give it some thought, I'm like, oh my God, do I need to quit? Is this over? Like people were like trying to tell me I needed to sign over my business.
Oh no.
Like type of shit. And I was like this for me is why I do everything else.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The OG brand.
It's that, and it's like the youth, like being in the teaching.
Right.
That's like the heart of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when Vanessa Everywhere Dancewear takes off, you're going to take the first $1 million from that and build a whole brand new megaplex dance studio that's going to be called the Vanessa Fuller X Gabe Dance Academy for the Performing Arts with scholarships.
My dream is to
give it up.
My dream is to be able to have enough money to hand people money who are doing good shit. I want to be able to hand over $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to somebody on the fly who's like really doing good shit. So I'm not going to stop until I get to that place and escape. Like maybe I won't own it in the same capacity forever. Like maybe I won't be in here every day, but this is like my heart is in here.
Right. So you keep your cool when people try shady shit like that with you.
You got to keep your cool, man. You can't freak out because they want you to freak out.
Yeah.
People want a reaction out of you so that they can blame their own insecurity and their jealousy and whatever they're holding. Jealousy is a nasty fucking emotion. And it's not that we don't all feel it. Have you seen that color wheel of emotions?
Yeah.
Where it's like the root and then all the things that come off of it. People don't take time to be like, well, what am I really feeling? You know what I mean? So that they can like articulate with people, and like you can like save a relationship that way. And so people like to trigger other people, maybe consciously or subconsciously, to get them to react so that they have an excuse to be like, oh, that person's bad, oh, that person's fucked up. And it's like, no, you really just pushed me to the edge and I have no time for your bullshit because I'm going somewhere else.
Right.
You know?
And it's always like you have to look behind, because people will give you flattering advice. Even your life partner will give you advice and you're like, oh, you know, they love me. But then you have to think like, is this really for me or is it for them? What's happening here? And with your friends and your peers and your people in your industry, like always look behind where that advice, who is that serving that advice? Who would that benefit eventually?
Yeah.
Sure. So the thing that I always say about you is how measured you are, and I'm sure you have your moments where you like scream in your pillow. But Vanessa is never one to lose it. At least I have never seen it personally.
People say that about me a lot.
What does it look like when you've had it? What does that look like for someone who has magic powers like you? When you finally reach that point where like, because I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't do it anymore.
It's so funny because Jeremiah, who's my boyfriend, like I was like, I think it was last year, and I was like, I told him, I was like, I'm having an emotional breakdown. and one tear ran down my face. And he goes, this is the worst emotional breakdown I've ever seen. He's like, get in the car, go crash your car, go throw some shit. I was like, that's it, it's over. Like, so I think, like, and that was for me. I was like really freaking out. Honestly, I think I dance so much and I use my physical body so much that I don't hold on to things physically for a very long time. So I think that helps. Like when I am very angry and then I have to come to the studio and dance, or I go to the gym, it doesn't stay in my physical body. So I don't have that, like, you know, you get tense. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen for very long.
Right. But I need to run around the block.
Yeah. I don't like, if I get to the point where I'm freaking out, then I will probably scream at you or at whoever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
If it involves somebody else.
I know better than to ever get it there.
I'm pretty.
I know it better.
Yeah, I just don't feel. Yeah, if it's at that point, then it's like something's been really like.
Right. A brewing.
Yeah, but I'm super intuitive, and like maybe a little bit psychic, and like super in touch with things. So I think I'm never quite surprised.
I was gonna ask you that question next, and then I thought of the answer.
You probably
said the answer.
See.
I was gonna say, have you ever been truly shocked when someone like stabbed you in the neck, or when someone betrayed you? Were you ever really surprised?
I can always see it.
I always say I knew who they were.
Yeah.
I knew where our friendship stood.
Right.
I knew this could possibly happen.
100%. And speaking of the Lindsay Lohan and all that shit, like you should never ever ignore those feelings. Or like when you have them. Like, say you know somebody's gonna backstab you, but you're just gonna like let it play out. Just know exactly what you're doing and keep that awareness.
Get what you can out of it at the time.
Yeah.
If it's not benefiting you, get rid of it quick.
Get rid of it quick. Yeah.
Yeah. People are always like, I thought we were best friends, and I'm like, that's your problem. Is walking around and being like, that's my best friend, and that's my best friend, and that no bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You let too many people into your living room.
Yeah.
Maybe on the porch.
Yeah, I never ever ignore those feelings. They're there for a reason. And I think part of being successful and part of not happy, like being like freaking out, is just being aware of what the fuck is going on and present. Right. And in touch with stuff so that you know the puzzle pieces.
Right.
I think when we get blindsided and we like go emotionally off the deep end, it's because we haven't been present enough in life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how do you deal with this thing that I know you're going to know about because I know about it? People come into your life and they like love bomb you with praise, adoration. They're your fans because you're teaching them lessons. You're choreographing their dance. You're teaching their child. Mm-hmm. And then when they get what they need out of you, they vanish and you never hear from them again. And you just feel like you're naked in the bed with a towel thrown over you and you just gave all your full performance. Yeah. And now they're done and like they've ghosted you.
First of all, did I get paid? Did I get paid?
Right, yeah, always.
That's going to be my first, okay. Always. As long as I got paid.
But where were you in your life when you learned how to deal with that? Like, it's going to happen. So you can't be like, I thought we had something. Like, yeah. And it happens with business relationships, with students and parents who come in, they get on the competition team, they get what they need out of you, and then they just ghost and move on to the next thing.
I think one of my favorite books is The 4 Agreements. One of the agreements is to not take anything personally. Mm-hmm. So that I learned probably like 33, 34, 35, and it's just like, it came to my awareness at that age, and I just practice it all the time. So when that feeling comes up where I'm like, you just fucking screwed me, I'm like, that's about you, it's not about me. You know what I mean? That's something you're dealing with and you don't know how to communicate with me, and that's not my problem because I am here for you to communicate with. That shit happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So again, making sure you get your money, you know what I mean? Especially if you're going to give somebody a piece of choreography or whatever and they're just going to shit on you. And you just can't attach to that kind of stuff. Right. Like, those people want something from you. In this case, it's art. You do your best. You put out your best work. You let people just be in the 3D, like, lower level serpent existence if they want to be. Like, what am I going to do?
I'm just always so entertained when people pedal so hard to make it seem like there's a genuine friendship there. And the whole time I'm like, you don't have to do all that. It's okay. Yeah. As long as we have a contract and a check, we're good.
Yeah, that type of stuff is weird.
I don't want to pretend like we're that close.
Why do people do that?
But then they call us like shallow or callous or icy because we're like, no, we're not that close. Let's just do what we contractually agreed to, and then you go your way and I'll go mine.
Right, and that is
They're
actually
so mean.
Yeah, and those people just don't live on the same level of existence, and you can tell that when somebody approaches you in that way. They just don't. They're like trying to be at this place, and you're like, I'm not. This is.
It's like it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
Like, well, we were friends. No, we weren't ever. you were getting what you needed.
Yeah.
And I got mine.
I can't with it. Let me just close my mouth. Is there some Baileys for my coffee?
Yes. There's this thing that I say that certain people have. I've worked with a lot of great mentors and directors that they naturally command respect. Like in rehearsal, you're not a screamer, you're not a belittler.
No, I'm not.
Scream over the music.
Yeah. I'm not a belittler, no.
No, but like your method is not being temperamental, being a diva, throwing things, having fits, storming out. Like your method is commanding respect, and it's expected, and people walk in, and it happens.
Yeah.
And the best people that I've ever worked with have always been like that, and generally 99.9% of the time they're women. They don't have to act like divas. And everyone in the room respects what they're doing, and they respect their hustle, and they can be even quiet sometimes.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you think it is from day one? You know, it's like you don't prove yourself to everyone who auditions for your company.
Yeah.
But they come in day one with that level of respect for you.
Right.
Where does that come from? What is that?
The first thing is, and you just said it, real power is silent. Straight up. Power does not need to be loud. Seduction does not need to be loud. Commanding room does not need to be loud, and neither does confidence. It just is. And it's a piece that you bring to a space, and a centering and an energy that allows everybody to just feel connected, like to the earth, to the studio, to wherever you're at. And I have that, and that is because, and this is the gift that my parents gave me, and this is actually going all the way back, like why I do what I do in the capacity. I have self-confidence. The best thing you can do for your children, parents, listen to this, or if your parents didn't give it to you, like find this in your relationships, self-confidence, self-esteem. Yeah. Everything is possible when you feel good about yourself. Sure. It's when we stop feeling good about ourselves, that's when shit gets weird, and we make weird choices, we let weird people in, we stop being present, so we don't have an awareness, and the energy around us becomes buzzy. You lose your power.
Yeah.
So I think that feeling you're describing is just a really deep belief in myself. I love what I do, and it just like takes me over, and I'm confident in it.
Yeah.
And it's because my parents gave me that. My parents were always like, "You've got this."
Right.
You know.
So how do you deal now with the balance of people have an expectation of you, people have an image in their head of you, whether it's true or not, people know the real you have a reputation, you have a resume, you're on television, you've reached this level.
Yeah.
How do you balance now the difference between confidence, between arrogance, the difference between that place where people are going to treat you like you're a celebrity and not starting to act like you're a celebrity, but also having to put up boundaries of like protecting yourself because they're the hangers-on, the fans. Like there's a constant juggling of keeping yourself real, keeping yourself grounded, making yourself available, and also not making yourself too available, having boundaries.
God, you're so fucking good at this.
No, I love it because
Barbara Walters!
In my head, I'm like, how do you deal with it? This is actually a therapy session for me to figure out my life. It is a hard balance when people are like, you're famous, this is the Chris Dean, but you want to be just a regular human. But if you actually...
Should I stop calling you the Chris Dean? I'm like, I have to.
This will work for my whole life.
Yes!
But the difference of you can't let everyone that close. You get into a particular realm of my life that not a lot of people get into.
Right.
Because I trust you.
Yeah.
And because I know that we have a kindred spirit there. But there are a lot of people who want that and try to weasel in, and you have to be like, hold on. I need you to stay right there.
Yeah.
Arm's length, don't get too close. You know what I mean?
It was like a 5-part question.
Right.
For me, and actually, if you want me to be real, so I went from basically teaching only a couple of classes for the last few years to coming back to teaching almost 20. And my thought process for that was, right now in my life, I need to be very grounded and connected to my center. Mm-hmm. And my center is here, and it's in the classroom with the students. To me, that's like humbling. It's good work. It's real work. It's like, it's like the root. Mm-hmm. And I chose to do that at this time because I know the show is about to come out. And in order for me to be able to like be in that space, I need to stay grounded and connected to why I'm doing everything I'm doing, which is for the fucking kids I see every day. Right. And for the people in this building, all the teachers and everybody that works here that like not only works here, but they live here and they put their passion into it. And it's like everybody who sweats in the walls every day, like that's why. You know what I mean? And so I think, and tying it again to like people coming in there and snaking in there, I think people realize that maybe that's it's not even security, like financially, it's security. It's like my heart space security. Like it's my anchor. The roots are here and I can go wherever. And so I think that's why people would try to like get in there.
That's where your gift comes from.
Yeah.
Don't let him in.
Don't let him in.
That's the control booth.
Yeah. And I don't think, man, I listen
Don't start fucking with the controls. Don't let
Yeah.
him in.
Yes, exactly. But I think as far as being humble or being arrogant, like people can fuck off, honestly, because I just watched this video. I posted it. There are too many people out there that are basically saying that you can't get out there and be loud and proud about your accomplishments because it's bragging and this and that and the other, which I don't do, but like there's nothing fucking wrong with putting in a lot of hard work and wanting to talk about it and share. And if there are people who are in their right mind and who are not jealous and who are not trying or who are trying their best in life, they will be inspired by that.
Sure.
So like I just feel like
that's your obligation, to reach those people.
Not
to shy away from the people who are going to think what they're going to think no matter what.
Exactly, that's where I'm going with it. So if somebody's going to think that about me because I'm like out here talking about what I'm doing or I'm living, like you just aren't happy. Again, I don't take it personally. You're not happy. If you try your best every day, there is no reason to have jealousy.
Right.
You try your best every day, you put everything out there every day, there is no reason to be looking at somebody sideways for them doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So I'm still on the ride. Like, I don't know what's about to happen in the next few weeks.
Right.
But I do know that me being in here as much as possible is going to keep me humble and centered and around the people. These are my fucking people. You're my fucking people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Just be ready. If you're going to read the comments, read the good ones twice. Read that again,
sis. You keep saying that to me.
Read the good ones. The bad ones, learn to laugh. Just giggle. And you know what? You have to think it no matter what. Oh, her technique is terrible. They're going to say some shit.
Oh, yeah.
Her technique is this, her blah, blah. Laugh to yourself and go, but no one fucking did it like I did.
Yeah.
And I also still made it on TV and you didn't. So get your technique off the couch, stop typing on your keyboard and get on a television show and then we'll talk about it.
And then we'll talk.
We're not having a conversation.
Right. It's always the people who haven't done it.
No matter what your technique, your hair, your face, your weight, your life, your voice. I got called gayer than a dog with a Christmas sweater on. But guess what? No one fucking did it like me.
No one's the Christine.
That's what you have to think is like.
You're not the Christine.
You're not the one. And you're not the Vanessa Fuller either. Yeah, you just have to remember no one is going to do it the way you did it.
Right.
So, whatever that's all you took from it, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Because the show is a motivational show.
It is a motivational show.
The whole thing is incredible. It's about the come-up.
It is about the come-up. And tying it back, like, to what I had said earlier, it's about knowing what you bring to the table uniquely.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know what my strengths and weaknesses are because I sit and look myself in the mirror and I'm like, you fucking suck at this, get better at this, you're great at this. Like... Having the honest conversation with yourself, knowing what you're good at, and highlighting your strengths.
Yeah.
And then doing your best at that.
So do you deal with imposter syndrome still? Or are you...
I guess. Sometimes, yeah.
Shocking to me.
Sometimes I do. I was freaking out when I got onto the show. It was like, I was like crying. I was like freaking out inside until I got there. And I was so composed. Zero freak out. And when I got on stage... You know, when you do this shit, you have to film it several times.
Right.
I don't know if I can talk about all this, but like what you see is several takes.
Yeah.
But when I did it before the audience was there, but it was like the take. Because they're not necessarily use the live take. Mm-hmm. The staff was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like because I had felt all that doubt that I felt when I got out there, it just... Nate Jackson said this, and I will never forget it. He was like, I tuned into my abilities, not to...
Fear and doubt.
Yeah. I tuned into my abilities 100% and just let that take me over and not worry about anything else.
That's what your fucking fears.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
What they want you to do is panic and fall down.
Yeah.
And then they're going to use the take where you fell down.
Right. They told it, and that did happen to somebody.
That's television.
That happened to somebody.
That's why Dan's mom's films twice as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. And, yes, I did. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm here. Like, what, you know? And even still, like, we were having the discussion about being a master teacher. Like, having yourself listed as a master teacher, and I'm like, I don't know if I am comfortable with that type of stuff.
Of course
but I'm
you
like,
are.
I spent almost
Of course you
36, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I think
Look at the number of hours you put in. If it was
even
flying,
think
you'd be a pilot instructor by now. Not
pilot
just
instructor, a
pilot.
doctor,
Yeah.
fucking lawyer, like
Yeah,
name
it's like,
it.
at what point will we give ourselves credit for what
Yeah.
we deserve?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think I don't deal with it like as much as I used to, but I've definitely had moments in the past year, especially where I'm like, damn, I think it's more of like, I can't believe I'm finally here.
Yeah.
I'm arriving.
So on that down fear, tell me about a situation where you almost gave up. Have you ever actually, literally almost given up?
Yes.
And are you telling the truth right now? We need one of those, like, I don't believe it, but it's because you do such a good job at it. But I believe it.
I think the truth is, no matter what type of shell you want to hide behind, we are all human, and we all have our moments. I have almost given up several fucking times. Owning a business is really fucking hard.
Yeah. There's
It's
66,000 dance studios in the United States of America.
it's really difficult. I almost gave up fucking last week.
Yeah.
I literally in the kitchen was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. And I've had that, I mean, even before COVID. Before COVID, that was my favorite one.
God.
I'll talk about that one. In 2019, we were the biggest we had ever been. You were here. It was
Yes.
like you, me, maybe Cassandra. There was only a few of us teachers.
Yeah.
Our classes were packed. You couldn't walk through the lobby. It was just a wild time. And I was teaching like 20 or 30 classes. I don't even fucking know. We
Right.
had double ballet classes. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Comp team was just starting to pick up and win stuff.
Right.
I was so fucking over it. Like everything was just like the parents and all. There was just too much, and I wanted to quit my own studio. Like I wanted to walk out and
At the peak.
at the peak.
Whoa.
At the peak, I was actually seriously done. And I remember it was like around the same week as COVID, and COVID happened, and I was like, thank God. And I wasn't sure, and I cried in bed for like 2 weeks and ate a bunch of chips
Right.
all day because my kids were also gone. They went away for spring break and then just never came back because of COVID. So I was just alone. I was alone, like reflecting, and I wasn't sure I was going to come back
Whoa.
and do it. Especially after we lost our space.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. It's taken me up until this year to want to like have that same fire I had because my boundaries. I let myself go too far the other way and let people get in
Yeah.
and drain the energy, and I was all the way drained right before COVID. Filled the cup back up, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
get back to that center. Man, yeah, it happens all the time. Like all the time.
Yeah. It's so hard when I think of you. I think of your thriving as being like 10%, 15%, and your surviving is like 85% of what you do because you are so fucking resilient.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is my 5th studio space.
7.
Seven?
Yeah.
That I've been in with Vanessa.
You've been in every one.
Yeah, I'm still in here. Bitch, I'm not looking because I want to watch what happens next. This is my favorite reality
We're
show.
on episode 28.
I'm just like, my privileged white ass would have quit a long time ago and just said fuck it and walked
Yeah.
off, and I'll be back at Kiefer. Hello, this
Yes.
is Christopher. You're back. My name, my Toyotas. So, you know what I mean? Like, you just keep going, and that's why I think it's like a superpower because most people would lay down and die.
Yeah, here it is what it is. You can't be uncomfortable sitting in the dark places. I am really uncomfortable really comfortable sitting in the place of completely giving up and looking at it in the eye and being and understanding why. If you just have these feelings of doubt, resentment, guilt, sadness, and you have those feelings, but you don't sit with them and talk with them, you can't understand them and you can't necessarily move through them.
Right.
So like for me, yes, last week I was like, I cannot fucking do this. I'm like in the kitchen making dinner. I'm like, I don't know. And then I have to sit with myself and confront it. I sit there and I try to understand. I look dark Vanessa in the eyes and I'm like, what's wrong? You know what I mean? Bring it forward. Mm-hmm. So that's how, like, I think that people call it shadow work.
It's scary.
It's super scary, but like that's what makes me resilient because I'm not afraid to go there. I am not afraid to be fucking dirt ass broke with no money because I know that everything works in a cycle. I know that I am in control of everything and like it's a series of choices. And I'm not afraid to like see these dark spaces and understand them because I'm the light in the dark space. You know what I mean? So I think that's where the resilience comes from. A lot of people don't want to sit and like look at that, but I will sit there and look at it and then I'll be like, okay, what are we doing now? you can work with that energy. That's that witchcraft shit.
That's crazy.
I mean, when you understand the dark things, the dark emotions, the dark parts of yourself, you can work with those.
Yeah.
And help you get through those situations.
People think resilience is like Rocky running to the top of the steps, but like it's like Rocky at the bottom crying.
Yes, that's it. That gives you the power to get to the top. If I hadn't ever felt those things, you burn out. Sometimes you have to burn out so that you can have some perspective on where you're going and how you're going to get there.
You gotta know the valleys to know the peaks.
Exactly.
Go tell it on the mountain. I'm telling you, this is why she's fucking amazing. She tells you things. Last question before I want to get into some stuff about the come up that's coming. We got more come up coming.
Okay.
Are you difficult? Do people see you as difficult? This is a really fascinating portion because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I am definitely seen as a difficult person at times.
Yeah.
Not my personal work. I handle my shit.
Yeah.
But if I show up in a space and I'm collaborating and everything else is not at the level of my expectation, I'm not going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let my stuff come off as like second-rate, down dirty. So I can be difficult when it comes to like, oh no, this lighting is like this space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're gonna all have to raise up, or I'm taking my stuff and I'm
packing this bag and I'm out.
And again, I have a privilege of being able to do that, and people see that as like, oh, he's just a perfectionist. Like, people excuse it. I think for POC, it's a whole different experience. Then you become, again, difficult in a different way.
Yeah.
Then you become chaotic. Then you become problematic.
Yeah.
No one ever calls me problematic. They call me a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So what is that experience like for you? Because as someone who has your name on everything, you have to do that. You have to protect your brand, and you have an expectation that you're not going to compromise.
So, we're talking professionally then?
You can get into you if you want to.
Yeah, so I think that people in this community, especially people that own venues or work for the city or are in organizations that have been historically oppressive, racist, just unaware, would call me difficult and problematic and loud and annoying because I'm always the person that's like, this is not working. This is not fair. This is unjust. This is not helping.
Sure.
I'm always doing that, and sometimes I get sick of it because I do feel like I'll go into a certain space and I'm uncomfortable because I know people know that I'm looking around and like, not judging, but I have an awareness of how they're not meeting the needs of my community.
Right.
So in that setting, like outside of here, when I'm trying to advocate, especially like the amount of times I've had to advocate just to get dancers paid. Like we had to stop performing for a period of time. I was like, we're not going to do anything because nobody wants to compensate. And I would call people out on it. And then that became, oh, Vanessa, she wanted it. And I'm like, I'm just trying I got parents work, like dancing and all types of stuff.
You don't like the mirror that she's holding up in front of your face.
Yeah.
That's the problem. She's not shining a light on anything. She's holding up a mirror.
Right.
And you don't like what you see.
Right. So in those kind of situations, I'm often the person that's going to say something because I respect dance.
Yeah.
And I respect the process that it takes to become good at it, and I advocate for it, and I advocate for people that look like me and grew up here or come to this community. And so for some people, I think they think it's problematic and difficult and loud and annoying, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I turned on an interview on my phone this morning and I just hit play on it. It's Law Roach, who I love. An incredible fashion designer who does Zendaya and Celine Dion. As soon as I hit play, he said, I don't mind being the loud black man because every bump I hit in the road clears the path for someone behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking A, that's Vanessa Fuller.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like, you're clearing the way with every bump.
Yeah.
Or at least you're trying to.
I'm trying.
At least you can live to the end of the day knowing that you just didn't silently let it go by.
Yeah, I can't do that. I would say, working with me, I don't think people think I'm difficult. I think I'm really intense. So people will either tell me that my energy is like really strong and it like maybe intimidates them. And then, or I have had people be like, oh my God, I thought you were such a bitch until I talked to you, which is like, whatever.
And who does that say something about? That person.
That person.
And not you.
And I'm like, you just never talk to me. Like you haven't.
That's how you feel around people with strong energy.
Yeah.
Try us. We're fun.
Yeah, we're super fun.
Hang out with more of us.
Yeah.
We're actually really nice.
Yes.
If you're not scared.
Yeah. Don't be scared. That's weird. So I would say I don't think I'm difficult because I am very like a fluid person. I just think people think I have like a really strong energy and maybe that's off-putting.
Yeah. I think you're super easygoing, and you can make things happen, and you're very flexible in any situation.
Yeah.
I just think there are people who are used to living substandard or cutting corners, and they expect everyone to put up and go along with it.
Yeah.
And we won't do that, and that makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah, again, all these things that happen, it's like, don't take it personally, because it's not about you, it's about people's own standards for themselves. And like, if you're not going to raise your own bar, like, I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, get it together.
Right. So you're entrepreneur, you're dancer, performer, choreographer, director.
Yes.
Company director, mentor, now reality television.
Oh my God.
And next up, you're expanding here with the podcast with your subscription. Tell us how people can subscribe to join, to watch these amazing shows. You have all these guests that are so insightful, including yourself now.
Thanks!
What's the subscription look like? How can we get people to sign up? Because we want to push that. We want to get people on board so they can get more that come up.
Yes. You can subscribe to it on escapedancetv.com. It's $10 a month, and you get access to this podcast in the video version and the audio version.
Ooh.
The Come Up, you get access to Extra, which we have the first 3 seasons on YouTube, which you can watch. But if you want anything after that, you have to subscribe. I write a weekly newsletter called The Word of the Week. That comes out on Mondays. There's discount codes for merchandise and in-person tickets and shows. And then there will be other things in there that can give you like sweet discounts for classes and things like that. So it's not just paying $10 a month to listen occasionally or whatever. You're getting a whole breath of escape in there.
So how do people contact you if they want, if they want to be a guest on the Come Up? There's someone out there.
If you don't have my number, don't call me. I'm just joking. Just joking.
Facts. Don't call the studio either, because it's the same line.
Yeah, right? Don't call me. 541-337-3797. My number's out there all the time. You can DM me. You can Facebook message me. I'll get to it eventually.
Yes.
Email me. Emailing
all the interesting people. Out of those 47,000 Lindsay Lohan fans, there's got to be someone who wants to come on the Come Up. Maybe Lindsay. Lindsay, you want to talk about
Lindsay Lohan! Oh my God, that would be wild. Yeah, and it's subscribing. It's like, it helps out the studio space physically. And all the content creation that happens in here, and the scholarship fund, where we give away over $40,000 of scholarships to students annually. So a lot happens when you subscribe. You're affecting students, you're affecting teachers, you're affecting staff, you're creating content, you are supporting a community, a Black-owned business, all the things. So do it.
Tell me a moment in your journey of the Come Up when you were like, I've made it. Like, here we are.
I haven't had it yet.
You haven't?
No.
Still at all?
No.
I believe you.
No, I'm not there yet.
But have there been moments where you're like, okay, I'm on the elevator, I'm on the 3rd floor. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
I think you're done if you're like, I'm at the top.
Right.
There's nothing left for me to do. Then you just lay down and die.
I feel like I've had several levels to, like, my dance career. Owning a dance studio for 10 years is a huge fucking accomplishment. And I was it swallows you, like the whole experience. It's happened so fast. You've been here almost the entire time that for a while I didn't realize that was that's success. Like, that's an accomplishment. And it took me, I spent the last year wrapping my head around it. Like, that's a peak of success that not everybody has.
Yeah.
So I would say that's one. Getting on the show was really big. And it's coming in waves because it hasn't aired yet.
Sure.
And I might feel differently after it airs. But right now I'm still...
You'll be happy. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Just somebody has to tell you to be careful, because you can get wrapped up in the negativity. And you're not one to do it.
Yeah.
I did for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's going to be... The overall results are going to be incredible. Yeah. You're going to get the calls. You're going to get people who notice you. You're going to get... There are going to be other studio owners like yourself out there who are going to be like, let's bring her.
Yes.
Grab her.
Yeah,
that's
so
what they need to do.
Yeah, I think it comes in layers. I think I maybe didn't realize it, but I just had several really big things that I wanted to accomplish in dance. Owning a studio was one of them. Being a great teacher was so important to me. And I feel like in the last 5-6 years, I've really honed in on being a really good teacher and a really good choreographer. I feel like I've always been a choreographer, but the last few years is when I started winning awards and things. And some when I was younger, but you know what I mean? Those are also successes and dreams that I had where I was like, I'm at the top of this, it's getting there. But now I'm like on another start. So I don't know where it's taking me, but like my vision of where it's going, I'm not there yet.
Right.
But I've also had all of these things where I'm like, I am pretty happy with where they've gone to.
I just mean on each floor of the high rise, you have to stop and congratulate yourself.
Totally.
I think you never congratulate yourself about the studio thing because it always feels like someone's trying to snatch that shit away from you. Like you were always fighting to hold on to it, and you never look down and go, "Oh, but I have it."
Yeah.
For today, I have it. It's here.
Yeah.
Like that's incredible. You're always in survival mode. That's what I mean. You don't have a moment to celebrate.
Yeah.
We need to throw a fucking party and be like,
I know. We do.
Here we are.
We do need to throw a party. Honestly, what the heck? We do.
You gotta give yourself like a minute to be like, I have done this for a decade now. At what point am I going to admit to myself that it's here? As someone who's been trying to pry it from your cold dead hands the whole time, but
oh my god,
does that go back to like I have a very strong understanding, not complete, of the idea that like POC people start behind the line.
Yeah.
We don't all start at the same line. Mm-hmm. So having to already start behind the line, is that a symptom later on of you never giving yourself credit for having achieved it? Like it's always like you won't ever admit you're there because, I don't know. What if it goes away? Were you ever really there?
That's such a good question.
Because I know that it's harder.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
So
like I can say like my come up has been good. I've done this. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
I still have things I want to do. I still have goals.
Right.
But I can admit like my come up happened and I did the things I want to do and like I'm never like I want to admit it.
I don't know if that might just be a Vanessa personal thing. The way I was raised, it's actually super interesting. My dad's a black man. He was born in Watts, Texas, Denison, Texas, but grew up in Compton. Moved here to go to college. I was not, and I'm mixed. My mom's white. My dad did not raise me with victim mentality. It was not a thing. So that also means that I didn't get a lot of like those historical, like educational black family pieces from my dad because he didn't want my mindset to be like that. I never grew up with that feeling of being in that place. I recognized things would happen to me. Kids would say things to me. I would feel different, but I couldn't put a label on it until like college, maybe even later. And as an adult reflecting. So I feel like, and then I had the self-confidence portion from my parents. So it wasn't until literally, I would say until I started to own a business the second time around where I realized that was what was going on. The microaggressions, those kinds of things, why it's so much more difficult, specifically here in Eugene. But I didn't have an awareness of that because I literally was not raised that way. My parents were like, I think that's a byproduct of being a mixed child. I have a very different experience being mixed. I had 2 successful parents and the black half of my family was like, when my mom passed away, my aunt came up, my dad's sister, and we're all crying and stuff. And she was like, hey, she was like, look at me right now. She was like, I know you're sad and you're going to go through your grief, but she's like, look at the house you live in. Look at where you're at. She's like, my family grew up on a plantation and we got in the abolition and then we moved to California and then we moved up here. You have a lot. And like, that's how they look at it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have that. Like my root, again, is not the world's against me.
Right.
It's like the world is here for me. You know what I'm saying?
It's a possibility.
But I do, as an adult, I do understand that has happened to me, and I see it happening all the fucking time. But I think I don't attach to it.
Right. You don't let it overpower you.
Yeah, but it does exist. I am not saying it definitely exists.
We all should.
We were going through yesterday. This is like super quick, but we're going through all these funding numbers and looking at organizations that are kind of like ours, nonprofit dance organizations that also have a dance school. Let me just I don't know if I should go into naming names. There's nothing wrong with this. I think it's great that people are supporting the arts. I just find it interesting where a lot of the public funding is going and the private foundation funding. Between each of the major ballet, dance studios, dance companies, and organizations pull between $4 and $8 million of funding every year, of which half is from grants, foundations, and public support.
Wow.
Yes. Escape is set up.
You're trying to sell your toenail clippings to make magic seed.
Yeah.
Put $10 a bag.
Yes. And Escape is set up the exact same way as them. I've done my research, the way we organize classes, the programs we have, the outreach we do, and we pull in, what is that, 100th of that?
And they would make the money in ticket sales anyway.
And ticket sales. Or in one person contributing. So just like things like that.
The balance.
The balance.
Yeah.
Things like that exist, and they have made it harder. So
people keep getting to the same thing because it's popular. They should like, let me diversify my portfolio. Let's look at a different dance company in town that we could make a significant impact.
But I think we're still, I mean, maybe not still, but like, this is the argument I had with the Holt Center. I'm like, hip hop and jazz, these things are real dance. Mm-hmm. They are professional. Mm-hmm. We don't have that market here, but like the professional here is a ballet dancer. And that's where people put their money, or it's the orchestra. You know what I mean? It's not the black arts. Like, I'm just going to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not seen as professional. It is in the world, but not here. So like when people are thinking about allocating to professional arts organizations, unless you're hip with it, which there are some people that are, thank you, Oregon Community Foundation especially, and the Collins Foundation, y'all are lit, and you have let me in on so many levels, and Escape, and we appreciate you, but a lot of people, it's not up to par. I could be on every show, on everything, whatever it is. Can I also just say, like, I've sent out several press releases saying that I did the HBO show, all this type of shit. Nobody's responded.
Wow.
But I saw this white dude who got on Jeopardy on every fucking channel in Eugene. So, like, you tell me.
It's not funny, but it's true.
You tell me. So there are things like that, and I just look at it, and I'm like,
Doesn't fit
weird
the
things happen.
demographic.
Yeah, doesn't fit the demographic.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Something to think about. If you're in the Eugene area, you support arts, you are someone who wants to be a benefactor. We got a room closet we can name after somebody here.
Yes!
For $250,000.
Yeah, $250,000. We'll put your name on the broom closet.
This could be the Harold Johnson Memorial Broom Closet if y'all want it. We're funny people. We're great. We're talented. We need people who are bold and courageous who will step out and say, like, I'm going to support something different in this town. Something different and something that makes a larger impact than just 2 nights at the Holt Center. We need people who are not afraid to do things that are different because the world is changing. It might be slowly, but the world is changing. So who motivates you today? Who inspires you today? Because you are such an inspiration to so many people. Or what inspires you? Where do you find that drive today?
I honestly, my mom. It's an interesting thing just to like talk about, but I feel like my relationship with my mom is stronger after she passed away. Like, I get so much guidance and inspiration from knowing that I'm living out the dream that she came and yelled in the office at me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it hasn't been that, it's been 10 years. 10 years just in September of her passing. And a lot has happened. So that's inspirational to me every day. Like, I do it for that. I know my mom wanted to live on the beach somewhere, and someday I will have a fat ass mansion on the beach with all my homies in it and maybe a dance studio so that everybody can come when they want to. But that's like that 100%.
What we need to do for your big ass party, we need to go to UO, take a photo of that office, put it in black and white, and blow it up on a canvas and hang it at the front of the studio.
Oh my God.
And be like, the moment.
I'm telling you,
Call it framed art the moment.
Yeah.
That's such a fierce story. And there are not a lot of parents, especially in the arts. Yeah. Because my mom was like, when are you going to be done with those skits and come home? Yeah. And like work at the dealership. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it's that. Like, I mean, I'm inspired. Part of the reason I wanted to do this podcast is because I'm inspired by anybody who wants to do something out of the ordinary, extraordinary, that, or, you know, just on their own, entrepreneurial wise, who sticks it all the way out, because I know what it takes. And I could listen to those stories all day. Yeah. Like, I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by people who just stay on it.
Yeah, it keeps you going. It fuels you.
Yeah. But I would say, I mean, obviously I think about my mom every day, but I'm telling you, like, like, that moment lives. Yeah. It lives.
Yeah. It doesn't happen a lot. Parents are normally there to protect you from disappointment, rejection, failure, and your mom is pushing you into the industry of disappointment, rejection, and failure. So it's crazy. Last question, pop culture one. Kind of funny, but not really. How do you reconcile now, like, mentoring It's always been there. We've always been pushing our students and kids to go into the industry where it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
It can be a wild world. But with the revelations of things going on with Diddy and everything happening, we have a lot of people who want to be in music videos, who want to work in the music industry, who want to work with people that are not always the most savory characters.
Yeah.
How are we preparing kids these days? It's a different world to have to tell someone, you know, tendu, dégagé, pop, 1, 2, and like, don't go to the freak off.
Yeah.
How
I was going to say,
are we
don't go to the
preparing
party.
the kids for what the situations they can be put in? And we're telling them, go into the industry, but we know we've all been backed into a corner by someone else.
Yeah.
And we grew up in a different time, so...
Yeah.
But now they don't have to put up with it.
I would say it all goes back to the way that I teach, which is you need to get to the core of who you are. And you need to know yourself so that you can not only protect yourself, but you can become in touch with your intuition and learn how to trust it and understand it and use it. I think that oftentimes when situations like that happen, like, you know it's bad, but you do it anyway because you want a bag. Or you do it anyway because you want to get somewhere. And you feel like you have to. You feel old school peer pressure. And I think instilling confidence in kids and telling them, like, to listen to those inner voices that they're having and those knowings, and when there's situations that don't feel morally right, like guiding kids on what those morals are, that is how you protect kids. You give them the power and the self-confidence to make their decisions that are best for them, that feel good for them, instead of having to feel like they have to do things in order to get something.
Yeah, teach them how to listen to that voice.
Yeah.
Because anytime you dance for another choreographer, you're giving up a little bit of your true identity to process their talent and their work. There's a difference between that and giving up, like, your body, mind, soul, spirit for the sake of being cast in something. Yeah,
and that is just something that needs to be flat out said. Like, we're not doing that. You don't ever need to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's...
Your chance will come.
Your chance will come. Patience, man.
Yeah.
Patience.
Look at you.
I could talk a whole lot about patience, but yeah, people want things fast. And if you do that, you don't get the wisdom. The wisdom comes from the journey and being present in the journey. And I'm reflecting now, and I think I said this when I was interviewing you. If I had gone to LA for an extended period of time, because I was there for a while at like 20 and done the thing, I would, I just wasn't ready. I didn't have the wisdom.
No.
I was wild.
And I think we wouldn't have minded making less savory choices for ourselves if it meant in exchange for something.
Yeah. Yes.
We were going to get to the top.
Yeah.
When you have a drive, neither one of us had people looking after us saying, make smart choices. We would have been like, I'm willing to do anything.
Exactly. And I think part of the blessing that I've had, even though, like, you fight with time and you fight with patience, that's, like, the way I am now, is because
you stayed centered and grounded.
Stayed centered and, like, took the challenges and, like, learned, and then, it comes.
Right.
So...
You gonna let your daughter move to LA and be a video dancer?
She has been talking to me about that. She asks me about that all the time because she wants an agent, because she got the Hollywood Vibe thing, and she's like, why won't you let me go? I said, no, not yet. When she wants to, she's 12.
Right.
Like, she won the Dancer of the Year or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's great, like, good for you. I was like, you can go at 16. And she keeps asking me why this person's on Broadway, and I literally told her to go talk to you.
You don't know what they're doing.
I literally told her to go talk to you.
We gotta wait till her witchcraft powers settle in.
I know. She can't.
We gotta know her fours first. Once she knows her fours, we can do
Be a kid, man.
But also, you're gonna have to be your mom for her, and you're gonna have to be there.
Be a child. Like, let your kids be kids.
Be out in the car like this.
With like glasses on, like, yeah.
She'll be there in one way or another, honey. They don't know. You'll send your mom's spirit with her, honey. There'll be no doubts about that.
Yeah, I think...
I mean, you raised her, so you can't worry.
I'm not worried, but I just think kids should be kids.
Not at 12.
Yeah, not at 12. Like, I get that just because you're talented, like, time. Like, she is talented enough, but, like, just be patient.
Yeah.
Let yourself evolve. Get some boundaries. Chill out. Right. It doesn't have to happen right now. Plus, the world might end tomorrow. Like, what the... Like,
very, very, very possible. After everything we've been through, what's the site for subscription again for
the thing? Escapedancetv.com. That's DANCEXCAPE, dancetv.com. It's everywhere.
There's a reality show, there's a podcast,
There's a clothing line. Yeah, all the things.
The merch is so cute. I just passed by a sweatsuit hanging up there. That
It's
whenever
so cute.
I bring in your canvas of your office, I'm taking that sweatsuit down.
Oh my god. I wonder if I can get into that office. I know where it is.
We need a
Pacific Clothing.
photo.
I bet I could. I should do that.
You put a little 8x10 of your mom on the desk.
Yeah.
Take a picture of the room, black and white. Yes,
I talked about it on the show too.
so fierce.
So maybe I should get it together. We're doing it. We're going to Pacific Hall at the U of O. We're taking a picture.
Meet us over there, everybody on YouTube. Alrighty, well thanks for having me. Look, these are big shoes to fill.
Oh my
I don't know
god.
how you do this every week and you're so cool about it.
You're so good at questions. That was great. Damn.
Fun.
Thank you guys.
Come up.